I call this August 13th, 2018, City of Coolidge City Council regular meeting to order. Norma is the pastor here. Oh, okay.
She is here, Mayor.
Pastor Tracy Perry with the Spirit of Joy United Methodist Church is going to give the invocation. I would ask everybody to stand and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Gracious God, it has already been a long, hot day, and yet we have come together this evening out of our concern for this community. Grant us the grace to see things as they are, and with your help, the wisdom to make them what they ought to be. Show us how to be part of the answer and not part of the problems that seem to overwhelm us at times. Give us your vision of what you would have us do, that we may be channels of your grace, conduits of your wisdom and mercy, instruments of your peace. All things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Jimmy Walker.
Here.
Councilmember Steve Hudson.
Here.
Councilmember Robert Huddleston.
Here.
Mayor John Thompson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Jackie Henry.
Here.
Councilmember Joseph Marsh.
Here.
And Councilmember Tatiana Murrieta.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you, Norma. Okay, under presentations, item number 4 is a proclamation for the Buddy Poppies by the VFW. I'm going to go ahead and read the proclamation, and it's my understanding there's somebody here from the VFW that's going to want to address the council. Whereas an annual distribution of Buddy Poppies by the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States has been officially recognized and endorsed by government leaders since 1922, and whereas VFW Buddy Poppies are assembled by disabled veterans, and the proceeds of this worthy fundraising campaign are used exclusively for the benefit of disabled and needy veterans and the widows and orphans of deceased veterans. And whereas the basic purpose of the annual distribution of Buddy Poppies by the Veterans of Foreign Wars is eloquently reflected in the desire to honor the dead by helping the living. Now therefore, be it resolved that I, John Thompson, Mayor of the City of Coolidge, do hereby urge the citizens of this community to recognize the merits of this cause by contributing generously through donations gathered from Buddy Poppies on the day set aside for the distribution of these symbols of appreciation for the sacrifices of our honored dead. I urge all patriotic citizens to wear a Buddy Poppy as mute evidence of our gratitude to the men and women of this country who have risked their lives in the defense of freedoms which we continue to enjoy as American citizens. Is there someone here that wanted to address the council? I thought there was going to be.
I don't see anyone coming forward, Mayor.
Okay, all right, well then, all right, thank you. Item 5, and I'm particularly glad to see this, all the red shirts in the audience. This is a swearing in of the newly appointed Coolidge Youth Council members for 2018-2019. This is our 4th group. I think this is going to be a very good group, but this Youth Council, they'll be going to the League of Cities next week with us.
Correct, Mayor.
And I'm looking for good things out of this group. I think there's a lot of potential. So, you want to call them up? Stand in front of the screen. But don't sit down yet. I know we've got our officers elected. Will the officers please step forward and introduce themselves? Those are the best and the brightest we have in Coolidge, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give them a hand. Hey, Eric, come on through here. Let's shake the council's hand, will you? All of you, come on, follow him through. Just this way. Congratulations. You guys never stand together, huh? See, that's what I'm going to tell you. Sir. Well, I'll go with you. Thank you very much. Now that you guys are official. Okay, item number 6 is a monthly report and business spotlight recognitions by the Coolidge Chamber of Commerce. Good evening, Lynn.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We're reorganizing our spotlight, our monthly spotlight. We're going to do something different, and we're not ready to present yet. But moving on to our reinvestments for June, Curbs, the Avocado Nursery, AC Sanitation Services, Gary Johnson and Associates, Coolidge Family Dental, St. Holdings, Mount Athos Restaurant, State Farm, Cool Image Dance Studio, Southwest Gas. Our new member for June is Arizona Fitness Club, the new one that just went into errands. Our website hits are 212,800. Our walk-ins are up about and it's 590 for June. Phone calls 206. We sent out one relocation packet to Texas. Top states that visit us was Montana and Wisconsin. Casa Grande Ruins, June numbers are down about 11.9%. At 2,435 visitors. Year to date is 46,457. I know the mayor's been proactive with the increase in fees. July is very concerning that it's down, so we're pursuing it, and they're bringing it back to the table to look at fees because they're looking at raising another $5 here soon. But we're working on that. Some of the things coming up are our August luncheon. It's going to be our Shop Local program. August 28th is the CEDC meeting, and September 17th, the United Way is going to have an appreciation dinner. Any questions?
No business of the month.
No, sir, but we should be ready by next month to present that.
All right, anybody have any questions for Lynn? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Call to the public. This is the portion of the council meeting that if you want to address the council, please step forward. You have 3 minutes to address the council. State your name and your address, and let us know what's going on. Tell you the air conditioning is out here in the building. For those of you, I'm sure you can tell. Unfortunately for us, we have an APS representative step into the podium. Although this isn't their fault. Our AC went out. So,
good evening, Mayor,
good Mayor.
members of the council, staff. My name is Brian Gardner. I'm the division manager for APS, and I have with me Danny Ortega, who's our construction supervisor for APS. I wanted to give you a quick update on the power outage that was last Monday and Sunday, 5th and 6th, to many of our APS customers in Coolidge. We've determined and troubleshot that. We know that the source of the problem was at the Coolidge substation. At that location, there is 3 electric utility providers that are interconnected there, and APS has inspected and tested our equipment. All of our equipment is tested good, and so at this point we will work with those other electric utilities to take next steps and determine how we can prevent this in the future. So I wanted to come and give the council that quick update, and thank you for your patience and understanding. Coolidge has always been a good partner to APS, and we appreciate your support, and wanted to be here if you had any questions for us.
Does anybody have any questions? No, I thank you for showing up and standing here and telling us what's going on. We appreciate it. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, and it's important to note that there's, what, 3 or 4 power companies in Coolidge, and when something goes out with one of them, the other ones can be impacted.
Absolutely,
that's
we're
correct?
interconnected, so it's not just one of us alone here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, council members, I want to inform you guys that September 10th at Coolidge High School in our media center / library will be the citywide blood drive. Of course, it's voluntary. Anyone who wants to go can go give blood, and then we'll have another one February 6th, I believe. So if you're not able to attend this one, we would like for you to schedule appointments beforehand. I don't have them with me tonight, but I should have them next council meeting.
Can you tell us who you are?
I'm so sorry. My name's Tanda Marsh. I live at 1155 North Padre Quino Lane.
Oh, Marsh, huh? Okay, thank you. I knew I'd seen you somewhere. All right, anybody else? Okay, seeing nobody approach, we'll get out a call to the public. And item 7 is approval of the minutes for the City Council regular meeting of July 9th, 2018. If there are no corrections or items that need to be addressed, I would look for a motion to approve.
Mr. Mayor, so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Motion carries. Public hearings. To receive public comments on a zoning amendment, section 302, to revise the definition of qualifying patient / caregiver cultivation location. Mr. Lopez?
Mayor Thompson, Vice Mayor Henry, council members. This is a proposal that was approved by Planning and Zoning to amend the current Coolidge zoning code to change the definition of qualifying patient caregiver cultivation location to mirror the requirements set forth by the Arizona Department of Health Services. Currently, because we have an existing dispensary, no one is allowed to grow medical marijuana in a private home. So that's a state law that says if you're within 25 miles of the dispensary, you cannot grow medical marijuana at the house. And that was approved by council some years ago. The mayor can attest to that. So what changing the definition would allow is a licensed caregiver to grow medical marijuana in their home for up to 5 qualifying patients. They would not be restricted by our 25-mile limit of an existing dispensary. For example, a qualified caregiver in a Coolidge subdivision could provide medical marijuana to an approved patient in Kingman that is not within a 25-mile dispensary. So I just wanted to give you an example so you would see what the effect of changing this would be. The state law is one thing. Coolidge can be more restrictive than state law, and I think that's what was done back in the day when it was approved. And so I just wanted to give you an example of that. And of course, P&Z is a recommendation. You as a council can decide whether that's the right thing for Coolidge or not. And so I just wanted to bring that forward to you because it was approved by P&Z. Thank you. And so we would recommend you open a public hearing, and then the item will be brought up again a little later for a vote. Thank you.
So we're in the public hearing now. Okay, Mr. Lopez, even though in your scenario it would have been sold in Kingman, it'd still be grown in Coolidge.
Yes, Mayor, it would
It
be.
could be grown in, right next door to your property.
Could be in Heartland right next door.
And then there could be one next to the one in Heartland.
There's
then
no
one
limit
there.
on the number of them that would be, yeah.
Okay. Well, we don't know that because the state issues the permits.
Right. I mean, they would approve them, and they would go through a process of approval. So.
Okay. Well, never mind. I know the answer. I was going to say, Mr. Fitzgibbons, this will be up for a vote later on the agenda. This is the public hearing spot, so I guess we can reserve if the council has comments, we can reserve them for that time.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Is there anybody in the audience that wants to comment on this? Seeing nobody approach, we need a motion motion to get out of, no motion, we just close this public hearing and move into item number 9, which is a public hearing to receive public comments on a zoning code amendment, sections 302, 501, and 702, to add the definition of solar farm and make it a conditionally permitted use in the ag and industrial I2 zones. Mr. Lopez, that's you again, right?
Mayor Thompson, Vice Mayor Henry, council members, as you know, we've had a lot of activity in the solar array and the solar farms area. P&Z the other night passed 4 conditional use permits for sites throughout Jacob Anderson's Pinal Land Holdings that could potentially be used for that activity. They would still have to come back and go through site plan. But when we were looking at our zoning code, we've used the definition of a utility, and so we thought we'd clarify it by adding the actual term solar farm to the zoning code. So all this is we're adding the term solar farm under conditionally used or permitted uses under both agriculture, where they're mostly at, and under I2, which is industrial 2, one of the heavier zones. So they would still have to go to P&Z and get a conditional use permit here from surrounding landowners, and then get approved or not approved, and then the site plan review. So they would still go through the same process. It's just clarifying the definition of where it can go. That's all it is. And I'll answer any questions you may have.
Anybody have any questions? Over here. And it impacts, obviously, 3 sections anyway of our code. So
Yes, Mayor.
all it's going to do is do the
It
same thing
just-
to all 3 sections.
It just adds the word solar farm.
Okay, thank you.
That's all it does.
This is a public hearing. If anybody in the public has any comments regarding this item, please step forward. Okay, not seeing anybody come forward. We'll get out of this public hearing and go into item 10, which is a public hearing to receive public comments on a zoning amendment to section 603, removing tire sales, repair, and mounting from the list of conditionally permitted uses. Mr. Lopez?
Mayor Thompson, Vice Mayor Henry, council members, this is actually just a correction. We had noticed, staff was talking to someone about putting in a tire sales repair mounting service, and we noticed it was both in the permitted uses under C3 and also as a conditional use. So there's no reason to have it under conditional use if it's permitted use, and we as staff believe that that's the right place to put it. So there's no reason to go through that whole process with P&Z. C3 is our heavier zone. It allows all the C1, C2 uses, so it's the right place for it. So we believe that'll just clean up the zoning code and make a correction. And that's all it is. Thank you. I'll answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? Okay, it's a public hearing. If anybody in the audience has any questions regarding item 10, please step forward. Seeing nobody step forward, we're out of that public hearing, and we are on to item 11, which is a public hearing to receive public comments regarding the use of the FY 2018 Federal Community Development Block Grants, the CDBG funds, from the Arizona Department of Housing's regional account and the state special projects account.
Mayor Thompson, Vice Mayor Henry, council members, generally every year we come back and apply for these funds through the state. Some years this one actually we get as an entitlement, I believe, almost, right, Ernie? And I have Ernie Felice, our grants coordinator, here if we have to ask any questions, or if you have some questions that I can't answer. So this one is for $165,516. It's a little more than last year. And later also we're applying for up to $300,000 in CDBG funds from the state special projects account. And this is community development block grant funds that are available from HUD. And the first number, the 165, is available to us. We generally use it for housing rehab at this point because of the environmental things, but we're looking at other things in the future that we could potentially use it for, including, and we've done this before, like facades and some other things. So right now we're looking at housing rehab because we have a big waiting list and there's people waiting and there are houses that really need the help. So we're promoting that at this point. And Ernie, am I forgetting anything? The second one is competitive. So some years we get it, some years we don't. We notice that some of the cities that get it is that they receive the money is because the city has put in some general funds. So maybe it's something in the future when we have some money that we can put toward, we might add a little bit in that account. So something to consider. Right now, it's just an application. All right.
And I see these are, there was like 45 people on the waiting list and the 100 and what we're getting now, 104, how much was it, Ernie? 36, 45, 165? That's going to do like 2 houses, right?
Yeah, there's 45 people on the waiting list. Usually because the houses, some of them are so bad they need to be replaced, but these are loans. So they go against the house, and if somebody moves, they have to pay it back. If they stay in the house for the term of the loan, it's like a mortgage, then it's forgiven over time. A lot of people that apply are seniors and elderly, people with children, and they're usually, the money we have right now are under, for 50% or under of area median income, so that's pretty low.
I think in the background, backup information, it said that if they got the 300,000, that'd be like 6 more. Okay, all right.
Yes, Mayor, that's correct.
Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, Gilbert, I know there's one being remodeled down the street from where I live, and that particular homeowner has had multiple yard sales, junk sales, just totally unbelievable, and hadn't even complied with the city. When they do rehab these homes, is there rules and regulations to avoid something like that?
Yes, there were some, and I can't name a specific person, but there are some situations where we met with the homeowners and we're going to pull the program, and they promised that they would not do that again. If that happens, I told them there are some remedies within the process and the documents they sign that they have to comply with city regulations. So if they do that, and even though if they're in there, they could face some consequences for that. So there is a mechanism for us to enforce that if that happens.
Okay, it's a residential neighborhood, and it looks like a flea market all the time, and I hate to see this money being spent to rehab this house, and then they turn around and do the exact same thing that they were doing before.
Correct, yeah, and the actual applicant was the if I, just to give you an idea, could be the mom, the senior, and so one of the family members that maybe that's living there is the one that's doing a lot of the extra work. So we've been in talks if that's the right one to deal with that. So, yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem.
Anybody else up here? No. This is a public hearing, so if anybody in the audience has anything they want to say regarding this issue, please step forward to the podium and let us know. Okay, seeing nobody approach, we're going to move out of the public hearings. We're out of the public hearings. Now we're going into the business items for consent. If there's any items that anyone on the council wants pulled off of here, please let me know now so I don't read them off and then we have to redo it.
18, 19.
18, 19. Okay, 18 and 19 are coming off. And 15. Okay, if there's no other ones, then I'm going to go ahead and read the ones that we're going to move forward with. Item 12, under the consent agenda, consider approval of the agreement and addendum between the City of Coolidge and Colby & Powell LLC in the amount of $28,850 to conduct the fiscal year 17-18 audits. Item 13, consider approval of ratifying the funding between the Administrative Office of the Courts, AOC, on behalf of the Arizona Supreme Court and for the City of Coolidge Municipal Court to accept a grant in the amount of $29,580 for court security improvements and authorizing the city magistrate to execute the necessary documents. Item 14, consider approval of ratifying the purchase to Celebrite Software as a sole vendor in the amount of $15,900 for the purchase of PD equipment utilizing RICO funds and waiving the bid requirements and approving the sole vendor in the best interest of the city. Item 15. Consider. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. That was 9 too. Consider 16. Consider ratifying the submission of an application to the Office of the U.S. Secretary of Transportation, DOT, for a 2018 build grant for work on the St. Holdings PLH Inland Port, IPAS road and rail infrastructure. Item 17, consider approval of entering into a contract between the City of Coolidge and Ace Asphalt for the purposes of crack sealing and seal coating and restriping the Coolidge Transit Facility. Item 20, consider approval of the claims for the month of June 2018. Okay, I need a,
Mayor,
yes,
move to approve items 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, and 20 as read.
Second.
okay. There's a motion and a second. Are there any resolutions in that, Norma? No, okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So we'll move on to item 15. Consider approval of entering into an agreement between Tyler Technologies, Inc., the approved sole vendor, and the City of Coolidge Police Department for the purchase of Tyler Technologies computer-aided dispatch upgrade and fire module software and required licensing in the amount of $204,263, utilizing capital sales tax, waiving the sale bid requirements in the best interest of the city. Chief?
Mayor Thompson, Vice Mayor Henry, and council members. Currently, the Coolidge Police Department uses Tyler Technologies CAD, computer-aided dispatch software, for its dispatching needs. This is the same dispatching software that has been in place since 2000. The software lacks modern technology and has become essential to dispatchers. Tyler Technologies CAD upgrade software allows dispatch personnel to accelerate the sharing of mission-critical information with first responders. And I'll be happy to answer questions.
Chief, one of the reasons that I asked that we look at this a little more in depth is whenever we spend $204,000, I'd like to get a little better idea. Can you give me something in the real world that we will understand that this technology will improve? I did see when I went on the internet and got off the information that they're not going to be supporting some of the things that they're supporting now. So we're going to have to do something with that technology anyway, but this helps what? This helps the dispatchers get the calls out quicker, or what does it do exactly?
Here's some information that I got this morning from Jim Weiser, who is the senior client executive with Tyler Tech and our rep. CJIS compliance, and CJIS is the Criminal Justice Information Systems, which is services, which is essentially the FBI, who maintains NCIC, which is the National Crime Information Center. CJIS compliance. Microsoft is ending support for older versions of Windows and Microsoft Server operating systems. Once support for the versions we currently have end, we will be out of CJIS compliance. Upgrading guarantees that we will stay current and be on operating systems that will be valid for the next 10 to 15 years, with the .NET technology of Enterprise CAD being valid for the next 20 to 25 years. Esri Maps and Mapping, and Esri is our vendor for international information systems software, and it's also used for our AVL, which is our area vehicle locator. Esri Maps and Mapping. Our current version of Esri 9.3.1 is no longer supported by Esri. Upgrading to Enterprise CAD also upgrades our Esri to current versions, which will dramatically increase the capabilities of our maps in both CAD and mobile. Fire dispatching. Adding fire to the system will greatly impact our ability to share information. Also, Enterprise CAD contains many fire-specific dispatch functionality, which will greatly enhance their ability to run track times and identify areas which need better coverage. In addition to that, I do have 4 pages of extra information that lists either enhanced or new technologies that will be coming with the...
It's boring reading, Chief. I went through it.
I'm sorry, sir?
It's boring reading. I went through it, so thank you.
Yes,
hey,
sir.
let me ask you something. Is this CJIS like the CJIS or the CJIS? I know we had one in our office. If we didn't have people up to par and the thing wasn't kept up to DPS standards, you couldn't run criminal history. Is that what this is involving too, or no? You can still run a criminal history whether you have this or not?
That is correct, other than we are getting close to being out of compliance with CJIS. This will help us maintain compliance.
Yeah, because I know when you do that, then you've got real problems.
Real problems.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's for I'd like to hear from the fire department. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you for having me, Mayor Thompson, Vice Mayor Henry, City Council. The fire portion of this is a major part of the purchase that we're doing. What this is going to do is it's going to put fire in line with the system that PD currently enjoys. It'll streamline our communications. It'll make pulling information from dispatch much easier. Another big portion that goes along with this is the reporting system. Right now, PD enjoys a reporting system that is connected to the New World system. So it's much easier for them to pull crime stats, response times, so on and so forth. Right now, the fire department uses a third-party vendor for our reporting system. Now, we also have federal reporting requirements that we have to do as well. So every call that we make on the fire department, if it's a medical call, we have to do an EMS report. Then we have to do a run report in our third-party vendor software. And then we have to report it in the federal reporting system. So technically, for every call we make, our firefighters have to do a report 3 times. What this will allow us to do, the New World system that we're getting now is already connected to the federal reporting system for the fire department, which is NIFRS, the National Fire Incident Reporting System. They connect right to them. Their run reports look exactly the same as our reporting software that we currently do on the federal side. So what we'll do is this will take us down to doing a report 1 time. Because right now the majority of our firefighters' time is spent, especially if they have quite a busy day, the majority of their time is spent doing paperwork. And we don't have a whole lot of time for a whole lot else because we are required to report these federal requirements, these federal reporting requirements to be eligible for federal grants in the future. If we don't report, then we can't apply for the grants. This new incoming system will allow us to streamline our operations of the fire department considerably and give us access to a lot more information on every call. And as we put the system online, as we make these calls, then we can add more information to every location where we make a call, to where if we go there the next time, we're better prepared and have more information at that location. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
You know, I noticed in reading the material that they're only going to allow so many chairs or seats or positions, if you will. Was it 10 or 12? Do you guys remember?
For the fire reporting system?
Well, yeah, they're going to train on so many here.
Yes.
They're only going to allow so many per the contract, and anything other than that we'll have to pay for.
Yes.
More outside.
And right now we're underneath the required number of or the maximum allowable seats. So
it's 10 or 12. I don't remember exactly.
It's I believe it's 10.
And so, will some of those positions be sitting at fire, or will they all go to the PD and you'll just work through that?
No, they'll be split between the two.
Okay.
This will really bring the fire department into the 21st century with this program, and it allows us a considerable amount of expansion. When we do expand the fire department, this system will allow us to expand with it. So it's when we do get to that point. So.
And we shouldn't need any more upgrades for a while after we get this. We should be okay for a few years.
Correct. From every meeting that we've had with the Tyler Tech individuals and the representatives, and I know that they always say, you know, this is the latest and greatest until next year, and then another latest and greatest will come out. But we've stressed this point many times with these individuals, saying we do not want to get this program if it's going to be outdated in a couple years. And they've assured us, and all we can do is take them at their word, that this system will be good for us for another 10 to 15 years. Now, there will be significant technological updates, but what we'll have will still work for our community and work for what we have for, at minimum 10 years.
Thank you, Chief. You got to have faith around here. We had the same phone system for 20 years, and we got it secondhand.
I like the old phone system,
from
actually.
Schools, so yeah, so we can make it last if we have to.
We can.
Any questions?
Just a couple. Chief, would this also have the potential to be beneficial as far as the ISO rating?
Most definitely. This, as you know, I've sent you all emails. We'll make a public announcement on it. We did lower our ISO rating this year to a 4. But what this does is, once I get the report from ISO, I know some of the shortcomings that Coolidge currently has, and this will shore up some of the shortcomings that we have, because a lot of it is communication and response times, especially on the fire side. So this will bring us up and definitely get us closer to the next drop in ISO rating when we do get reviewed again.
And that should be reflected in the homeowner's insurance, shouldn't it?
It will be reflected in homeowners and commercial insurance rates throughout the city.
Thank you, sir. Yeah,
One more.
go ahead.
One more question, Chief. Currently, if the fire department does a joint fire investigation with the police department, how do your fire investigators or arson investigators do their reports?
We do our reports on the third-party vendor software.
Now, this will allow them basically create a marriage and...
Exactly. What this will do, this will join the two reports. Even though the police department will have their own incident number and we'll have our own incident numbers, it'll still connect these two reports. So when somebody does do pull the report for a particular incident, or we get a call from an insurance company saying they need a report, they'll get both.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Chief, you say we use a third-party vendor. Does that cost us money every month to use that?
That does.
Okay.
Yes.
So once we get on this new system, that will be eliminated?
That will be eliminated.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Yep.
Anybody down here? Okay, that's all I've got. Thank you, John.
Mayor, just might mention, this was heavily discussed and debated during our budget discussions at the department level. I know Gabe Garcia, our finance director, questioned the amount of money. It was a large amount of money. In fact, it was a lot larger at one point. We worked very hard to get this price down to where you're seeing it tonight with both the fire module and the police module. So it is something we worked very hard to keep our costs down. There's another vendor that we were actually looking at during that budget discussion, and they were able to come to the table and get a pretty good system for what we need for a better price, even though it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot less than it was going to be.
Okay. If there's nothing further,
Mayor, I move to approve. Oh,
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, whoever makes the motion, we just want to make sure there's a clarification. Instead of utilizing the capital sales tax, it should be unfreeze capital sales tax for the purchase. There's also a provision on waiving the seal bid requirements. That just needs to be in the motion. Thanks.
okay. Mayor, move to approve item number 15, including unfreezing the capital sales tax and waiving the sealed bid requirements in the best interests of the city.
is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that carries. Thank you.
Mayor Thompson, Vice Mayor Henry, and council members, thank you very much. I also want to acknowledge the assistance of Finance Director Gabe Garcia, in this whole affair. We couldn't have got these prices without his help, especially in the area of the maintenance, the annual maintenance. So thank you, Gabe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 18. Resolution number 18-16. A resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of Coolidge, Arizona, authorizing the submission of an application or applications for FY 2018 state community development block grants, certifying that said applications meet the community previously identified housing and community development needs and the requirements of the state CDBG program, and authorizing all actions necessary to implement and complete the activities outlined in said application. Mr. Lopez.
Mayor Thompson, Vice Mayor Henry, council members, earlier this evening a public hearing was held to discuss the 2018 CDBG regional account application. As stated, the city is expected to receive approximately $165,516 under the regional account, and then later we would apply for the $300,000. We would help, again, housing homeowner occupied homes to fix them up. They fix neighborhoods and other neighbors fix up also, so it adds value to the assessed valuation of the city. This is money the city gets back from its citizens paying taxes, so it's and we apply it in this way. And I'll answer any questions I may have.
Mine's not really a question, but you said it at the very end, which is good. And during a public hearing, that's always good for that to come out. Where does the money come from? We've talked about it before, and I limit myself to certain grants that I bring up every once in a while, and try to let the rest go and not worry about it. But this is a huge one. It goes, the taxes go to the federal, go down to Washington, and they redistribute it back out to the city, the states, and then the towns. And Ricky, here you go with the youth council just got voted in to uphold the Constitution. It's just great, because this is general welfare, which is not what the Constitution was providing for when it said general welfare. It just wasn't. It's not meant to be a behemoth state that provides for everyone's needs, and it's not biblical. It's 1 Timothy 5, Deuteronomy 16, 19, and it's not constitutional. We've talked about it before. Cox was here showing a great representation tonight of how we should do it, which is ask their employees to make a pledge. Dynamite. They go and they ask. Instead of voting them out of their money, they ask them to make a pledge. If we were doing it that way, I'd be all for it. I'd be all for the city going door to door and asking for pledges. That'd be great. But to do it by vote is just not right. Taking from those who have to give to those who have not might make us feel better, but it's not biblical or constitutional. I know about this point in time, one of these guys is going to toss you up a softball, and they're going to say, what about our poor and needy? And you're going to hit it out of the park, and it's going to come off as, I don't care about the poor and needy. The point is, it's not taking care of the poor and the needy in the long run. In the long run, we're selling our kids down the tubes. The future. We're paying now, taking it away from the future. If you follow the economics of it, it's pretty straightforward, and it's not right.
Mayor? I will say what I always say is if the city of Coolidge doesn't go for it, another jurisdiction will. And it is monies that we have all put in with our taxes, and I think it's a great program.
Anybody else? No? Well, if there's no further discussion, I need a motion to do something.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve resolution number 18-16 as read.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Norma?
Vice Mayor Henry,
Yes.
Councilmember Marsh,
Yes.
Councilmember Murrieta,
Yes.
Councilmember Walker,
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson,
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston,
No.
and Mayor Thompson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 19, resolution number 18-17. A resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of Coolidge, Arizona, authorizing the submission of an application for the FY 2018 state housing funds, which may include federal funding through the Home Investment Partnership or state housing funds. Certifying that said application meets the community's previously identified housing and community development needs and the requirements of the state housing programs, and authorizing all actions necessary to implement and complete the activities outlined in said application. Mr. Lopez?
Mayor Thompson, Vice Mayor Henry, council members. Again, this is also a request to allow us to submit for the also a HUD program, this Home Investment Partnership Program. This is specifically, while CDBG has a little more flexibility, the Home Investment Partnership is just as the name implies. It's used for homes, for housing, and it's one of the most successful programs that's been around. In this case, it's a competitive program, so we'll be submitting an application and competing with other cities to try to get, and sometimes we get some, sometimes it goes to the others, and it comes back around, so it just depends. Ernie's guaranteeing me we'll be successful this time. No, he can't do that. But we're going to do everything we can and make a good application and try our best to bring money home to the city of Coolidge for our citizens. That's all I have, and I'll answer any questions, and we ask for your support and approval.
This is more of a competitive thing. I know the CDBGs are funneled through CAG, and then we vote on who gets what at CAG, and then it comes down to the city. This one here, is this more of a grant, or is this just competition for funding to do housing?
It's also done. We can decide how we want to do it, but we do it as a loan. And again, just like CDBG, the program is the same. Is that we'll fix up a house, put a lien on the property, and so a lot of times we mix both monies, CDBG and home, because we don't have enough of one to do. So we follow the strictest regulations, and then we use whatever pot of money we have available to do the houses.
Okay. Any questions? Any comments?
Same opposition. Biblically speaking, 1 Timothy 5 says, go to the church, or go to your family first, then the churches, and then places like Cox or some private organization. And as far as I know, Jackie, you have the same comment usually, which is fine, but sometimes when you're going with principle, trying to vote according to principle, and you say, hey, we're not taking it, and what you ought to do is give the money back to all those taxpayers that you just took it from.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
I got something, Mayor. Councilman Huddleston, I think you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Vice Mayor, I think you're on the ball too, and I just want to make I mean, you can't delineate a hand up or a hand out. And we had hoped that it was a hand up for people, but some people don't use it as such. And if we can at least help somebody, and the money is there, man, it's a tough row to hoe. Do we get it and help somebody up, or do we put it back in the taxpayer's wallet that somebody else is going to take? I see the beast that you're talking about, Councilman Huddleston, and it's bad, but I do agree that we should get something to help our community. So,
well, I would, to me, especially after meeting with some of these siting committees and attending some of the things that I attend, it's an economic driver. I mean, if people come from all over the country to see what we have to offer in Coolidge, and when they drive through Coolidge, some of our properties aren't where they need to be, and we need to step up our game, because we're competing for these companies to come in and build here and create jobs. And it's tough when you're competing against some places that have a lot more resources than what we do. So to me, it's an economic driver. I know Councilmember Huddleston, certainly, I can see his position, but that's why I vote the way I vote.
Last thing, and I agree with you that it's an economic driver. I agree with you that it helps at least temporarily take care of the poor and the needy. Agree with all that. But realize we are rationalizing our vote to say you can discriminate against those who have more. You can discriminate against them, take from them, and then redistribute the wealth, which is socialism. We just rationalized it. And I would say you can't rationalize the principle. It's either right or it's wrong.
Okay, thank you, sir. I need a motion to do something.
Move to approve number 19, resolution number 18-17 as read.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Norma?
Councilmember Marsh?
yes.
Councilmember Murrieta?
Yes.
Councilmember Walker?
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson?
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston?
No.
Vice Mayor Henry?
Yes.
And Mayor Thompson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move into business under regular items. Number 21, ordinance number 18-15, an ordinance of the City of Coolidge, Arizona, amending section 302 of the zoning code to revise the definition of qualifying patient, caregiver, cultivation, location. And before we get going, this was an issue, an item that we dealt with on the council many years ago. and the council was, there's somewhat of a different makeup then, but the reality of it is, I don't think there was enough backup material. I think there's a lot of things that are more far-reaching than what we see right here. And, you know, I'm not going to support it as it stands now, so maybe somebody...
I have a lot of questions.
If somebody wants to make a motion to table it, I think
Can I ask some questions first?
Go ahead.
Okay. Gilbert, I got several.
Yes.
You said earlier when we talked about this that the state licensed the residents. Does the city have any knowledge where these are at? Is there any kind of registration process for the city?
Mayor Thompson, Councilmember Walker, to my knowledge, we will not be told where they are. The state licensed them, and from that point, and I think I might ask Tim. There is no way we would know where they are. They would not notify us.
Is there any restrictions as far as how close they can be to a school, to a recreation center, to church?
No, I don't believe so.
Is there anything that says that these residents are required to have alarm systems?
No, not to my knowledge. No.
Okay. My concern is when this thing became a big topic when it started in Colorado, I was fortunate to be at a training where I talked to the district attorney, then the district attorney of Denver, Colorado, who said their crime rate shot through the roof when they started doing this. So at this time, I'm going to make a motion that we table this until we can get some of these answered or figure out if there's something more we can do as a city to ensure that these places, I mean, I'm concerned about home invasions, and this goes on every day. So,
Councilmember, you can either go however you want to go. You can make if you're against it, you can make a motion to deny, see if you get a second, and table. If you don't get a second, or if you don't get a vote there that's successful, then you can go for a motion to table. So whatever you feel comfortable, Councilmember, however you want to proceed.
I'm going to make a motion that we table.
Second.
Choose your second. Okay, there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, this one's tabled. Thank you.
Just for clarification, Mr. Mayor, Councilmember, you want to know what the rules are with regards to whether the city has any knowledge about where these are located, whether they have any special rules about whether they have to fit their house with any special alarms or anything like that. You want more information about those items?
Correct.
Mr. Fitzgibbons, I don't think a number of the people on this council were on the council when we had the discussion before about how do we get where we're at now, which is we have facilities, professionally run facilities that manufacture marijuana, if you will, because that was the lesser of the evils as opposed to having every other house in town grow marijuana. And we still haven't talked about the HOAs and code enforcement and law enforcement and all the things that would do to our system that we can't support what we have now financially. So I think that's why we need for the people up here now that are relatively newer compared to, that was years ago when that happened. They need to know what the situation is.
Mr. Mayor, I wasn't here when the council enacted this ordinance, the one that we're currently under, our city's ordinance, which is more restrictive than what the state allows. But I do recall being in another community when the law was passed, there was a lot of cities that had to react very quickly to get an ordinance in place where they would be subject to the state law. And many cities, like Coolidge and other cities, decided to do something more restrictive with regard to where caregivers can cultivate. And I know when I was an advocate for the ordinance in Eloy, we wanted to be sure that if you have a dispensary, which we have here in town, no one can cultivate within 25 miles of that dispensary under the law. And that's really what our code says. And I think that's probably really appropriate that you limit it to that. We have multiple cultivation facilities here, one dispensary where people can actually go to that's regulated It has a lot of requirements through a conditional use permit, alarm systems, how they dispense multiple safeguards. You won't have those safeguards under the scenario that was being presented tonight.
Tatiana,
I had all the same questions that Mr. Walker did, but in addition to that, my other question was, in our packet, it says that the state is the one that gives the permits, but the state is the one that tracks, monitors, and inspects those places that are given. I would like to know, like, how frequent do they actually do the inspections, and do they actually come and do an inspection, or is it just a phone call that somebody says, hey, are you still doing that? Hey, who are your 5 people? Okay, check, check, check. I would like to know more of how do they track, monitor, and inspect, and how frequently.
okay. No. So, where are we at?
Tabled it.
We tabled it?
Yeah.
We did get it done?
Yep.
All right, we're done with that one? Okay. Item number 22. Ordinance number 18-16. An ordinance of the City of Coolidge, Arizona, amending sections 302, 501 Charlie, and 702 Dog of the zoning code to add the definition of solar farm and to allow solar farm as a conditionally permitted use in the agricultural and general industrial zoning districts.
Mayor Thompson, Vice Mayor Henry, council members, again, as we talked about during the public hearing, all this does is add solar farms to the definitions under the allowed uses, under conditionally permitted uses under both agriculture and industrial too. So this just adds and clarifies that solar farms are allowed in those 2 areas.
Anybody have any questions?
So solar is already there under conditional use, and you're just
It's called
putting the-
utility, and so
Okay.
we use that term, but we want to be clear
Okay.
as to, we feel we're okay in how we use it now. This would make it a lot clearer. Back when the code was adopted, we didn't have as many solar farms
Right.
coming up, so we want to clarify so it's very clear.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? So I guess now we need a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve item 22, ordinance number 18-16.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Ron?
Councilmember Walker?
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson?
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Henry?
Yes.
Councilmember Marsh?
Yes.
Councilmember Murrieta?
Yes.
And Mayor Thompson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 23, ordinance number 18-17, an ordinance of the City of Coolidge, Arizona, amending section 603D of the zoning code to remove tire sales, repair, and mounting as a conditionally permitted use in the general services C3 zoning district. Mr. Lopez.
Mayor Thompson, Vice Mayor Henry, council members, again, as we spoke about during the public hearing, staff found that we had this twice. We had it in the allowed uses under commercial 3 and also had it under conditional use. So all we want to do is remove it under conditional use and allow it as a permitted right. C3 is our heaviest zone for commercial, and we feel that it belongs there. That's all I have, and I'll answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? Okay, if there's no questions, we need to do something.
Mayor, move to approve item number 23, ordinance number 18-17 as read.
Is there a second? Okay, there's a second. All right, Norma.
Councilmember Murrieta?
Yes.
Councilmember Marsh?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Henry?
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston?
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson?
Yes.
Councilmember Walker?
Yes.
And Mayor Thompson?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gil. Okay, now we move into the report from the mayor and council and/or city manager. We'll start down here with Councilmember Walker.
Mr. Mayor, I have nothing.
Yeah, I attended the breakfast with the mayor, which is a very informative meeting once a month that we have. My heart goes out to the Bob Goree family. His funeral was last Friday. I attended it. Bob is a longtime farmer, and his family's been here for, I think they moved here in 1930-something. I actually found out some pretty interesting information. It was a great funeral, and then my heart also goes out to a friend of mine, Ricky Marietta, and the Marietta family, for the loss of his wife. That's all I have.
Tatiana?
I too attended the mayor's breakfast, and it was very informative. Like to see more people attend those, community members that can. That's it.
I'd like to thank the PD chief. You guys do great. Fire department, you guys are on top of it for everything that happens, that people just don't understand what goes behind the scenes. You guys are really doing a great job, so thank you. Thanks to APS. The power outages were inconvenient, but for those of you who think you were hot, think about those guys who were fixing it. I bet they were hotter than we were. At least I was. So, and thanks to APS on that social media updates also. Tell you when the power might be back on, and fire department for the heat emergency water stations. That was great. And then I attended the meet the candidate meeting. Enjoyed that meeting the other people running for council. That was good. I'm glad to see some of those people here tonight. And that's it.
Rick?
I don't have anything to report, Mayor.
Due to the temperature, I don't have anything to report either, so I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned.